Hi everybody, it's Amy at Crafty Cat. Losing my voice apparently. So I have a piece of like shipping paper, you know, that you get in with, you know, I don't know, just about anything anymore from Amazon or wherever, if it's not super fragile and you don't get the air bubbles. A lot of times you get the shipping paper. So I just crumpled it up quite a few times, not just once, and undone it. And then it gets kind of softer and softer the more times you do it. And so what we're going to do is use this on the cover of the journal that we're working on, the fall journal. So I'm going to use some matte medium, and this is my piece of manila file folder. I've cut it 9x6 and just left the natural fold in the middle, and you can see the lines where, you know, you can fold it again or whatever, but we're just going to go with that natural fold that it has. And put down some matte medium. And a lot of you have, you know, either done techniques like this or seen them done or whatever. This is just a pretty simple way to do this, to cover these manila file folders. And this is my old mat, so if I get a little glue on it, it'll be alright. I'll just wash it off. So I'm just going to pretty much cover the whole thing. I might actually try to keep it to this side for the first laying it down. And Gail Augustinelli has done videos on this too, to show, you know, different types of covers that she's used. It's a pretty common one, but it works good. And you can either tear it into like smaller pieces, or you can put it down in one whole piece, kind of like what we're going to do today. So I can just set that here for a second. I'm just going to take my paper and lay it down on there, and I do have a couple of little holes in the paper, but I'm not that worried about it. I may end up wrapping it around a little bit too. And you kind of want to, you know, squish it a little bit to make it not perfectly flat, because I want the texture. If you don't want the texture, if you want it to be mostly flat, then go ahead and you know, try to flatten it out instead of trying to wrinkle it. But I want it to be a little bit wrinkled, so I'm going with that look. But you do want it down though. You don't want it to, you know, have spots where it's not attached. Just trying to get a few wrinkles in it. So I hope you guys are having a good day and had a good weekend. We had a very good weekend. As you may have seen if you are on Instagram and follow me on Instagram, my husband and I went for a ride on our new ATV that we just picked up on Friday. It was a lot of fun because it has a seat, so my bottom's not all bruised, so that's pretty awesome. So we had a lot of fun in the mountains where it's cooler. It's amazing the difference it makes being up there and in the trees and all that. So much cooler. Feels great. Okay, so I'm going to pull this back and we're going to do the other side. Oops. Trying not to get the glue everywhere, but I didn't bring another plate. I have one that I have some mica powder on, but I forgot to grab another one. So yeah, we went up to an old, well, they call it a ghost town, but there are people that stay up there in the summer in the old buildings, and then there's a groundskeeper, caretaker for the property. But it's pretty old buildings, and it's really kind of cool, and like we went through the old cemetery and all that. It's just, it was neat. And then you go ride through the little streams and the trees and all that, and like I said, it was nice and cool. The cows are laying under the trees. They're so funny. They just watch you go by because they're so used to people on ATVs riding around in that area. But it's a really cool little old western town. If you live in the Oahe mountain sort of area, I would definitely advise checking it out if you haven't. Or if you come for camping and vacationing, it's definitely worth looking into. Okay, let's see. Now I'm kind of stuck to the board. But as you can see, it gives you a good texture, and then when that dries all the way, we can add some other stuff to it. And on this side, I think I'm going to put some other type of paper, so I'm going to trim this a little bit. I just want to push down everywhere on that to make sure we get a good, and then once I get it the size I want it and stuff, I'll put another coat of the glue over it, the matte medium. I just want to cut this a little bit smaller because it doesn't need to be quite that big. Just want it to fold over the edges, and then we'll put probably some scrapbook paper or something on the inside. So yeah, it was a really nice weekend. And I may be out a little bit this week because we are going to do, I'm going to help at band camp after all, but not with food, so that'll be good. Oops, don't get too close there. And I got that a little shorter than I would normally like. But you can fold over as much as you want, or you can trim it right to the edge and then like ink it, if you don't want to mess with folding it over. Scraps away here. And I'm just going to kind of take a little bit of these corners off. And I'm not cutting all the way to the very tip of that, because sometimes you need a little bit of overlap to get the corner covered entirely. At least that's what I find. And everybody does this a little bit different, seems like. But you don't have to have, perfectly even measurements on the side of this, the sides of these, to make this work if you're going to cover it with another paper on this part. Because you'll put these down first and you won't really see it. And I know that's a lot and way wider than I need it, but my brush is just too full. So I'm just going to fold these over. And this can be smoother, so you don't have to worry about trying to wrinkle the edges on it. Want it to get laid down pretty smooth so that when you put your other paper on top, it's not a big bump of paper underneath. Okay. And you don't need a lot because your other paper will come down. You just want a little border. So it's going to cover pretty much all of that brown paper, craft paper, whatever you want to call it. Does not want to stick right there. And I need just a little bit this time. What are you doing, son? No.
Need water.
Get water. I'm actually filming a little bit ahead here because it's going to be, like I said, a busy week. But I'm glad I get to go, even though what I'm doing is basically making sure that they're social distancing, or staying 6 feet apart and keeping their masks on. So in some ways that probably won't be as fun as feeding them, because they're always very happy to see you when you're feeding them. And they may not be quite as happy with me when I'm telling them to stand apart and keep your mask on. But that's life right now, unfortunately. Okay, once we get this all down, I'll probably pause for a second. Well, it'll be more than a second, but for you it'll be a second, until this dries, and then we'll come back, and I have another little idea that I'm going to try, and I haven't tried it before, so it may just be a disaster. I don't know, but we'll see if it is. Hope it's not. Hope it works good. Okay, so I think we've got that all down. My other pieces over here I'm sticking to. It's not good. Alright, so that is the front, and of course, like I said, it's going to dry, and then we're going to add some other stuff to it and some more Mod Podge. In fact, I think I'll do that right now, so I don't forget. So we'll cover this all up too, so it gives it a good coating, you know, so it's not quite so fragile, which once all this dries and then you get some scrapbook paper on the other side, it definitely won't be fragile anymore. But you know, a manila file folder all by itself is kind of a little bit fragile. More than you might want it for a cover anyway. This is not wanting to stick very well. Okay. I'll show you guys a little trick you can do if you get a bubble like that that doesn't want to stick very well, because it does happen. Even when you get glue under there, you think it's good and it just isn't sticking. Jill's talking to my son. She's going to have all the cats in YouTube land looking for her. She sounds like you're killing her.
I'm just holding her.
I know, but sounds bad, Jules. He's just standing here holding her, but she just likes to scream. Okay, so I'm poking a little hole, a very little one, because obviously I don't want it to be too big, and I'm going to put my little glue in there, or you know, you can use whatever kind of glue you've got. I'm going to put quite a bit because I want to make sure it's going to stick down. And it's going to seal that opening, so it's not really a big deal that there's an opening. There's another one over here. And a lot of times, once these dry, they aren't there anyway, but I just like to make sure that they're going to stick down. I kind of got a little bit bigger hole there. So I'm gonna another one. I guess I already had a pin for my glue, huh? I could have used. Because I don't like it when it dries and it has those air bubbles. It's easier to fix them when it's wet than when it's dry. I must have just, like, I don't know if I missed this whole section right here or what. I did, but I did something. And most often, you know, it does end up fixing itself because the paper's porous and the glue's going through it, but I don't know. If I can fix them, I want to fix them so that I don't have to try to figure it out later. Sometimes it's just a matter of letting the air out of there. Not getting there very good. Okay, so we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to come back and we'll do something else fun. Let me get some right up here. Not sure why I'm getting so much bubbling on it. Guess my coat was too thin of glue, so maybe go a little thicker on the matte medium than I did. Okay, I'll get it dry. It looks pretty good now. And then come back and we'll do something else. I'll be right back. Okay, hi, I'm back. So it is dry, and I'm going to take a little bit of my matte medium and put some Tim Holtz ink in it and go over it a little bit, because you can see there's spots where it's like the paper was thinner, so you're seeing the file folder through there a little, and I just don't want it like that. So I'm just taking the vintage photo and I'm just going to put like one drop in there just to give it color. You don't need very much of that, that's for sure. It goes a long way. And I didn't really think, but we're going to have to probably stop the video again because I'm putting this on here and it's going to have to dry again, right? This will also kind of make those, the lines show up a little bit better, but I want this covered right here. Putting a little extra there. The rest I'm just doing really thinly to cover up that. Plus it'll give it a little more of a leathery sort of a look. It's sort of like, you know, distressing it. A little bit more, I think. Just makes it look a little bit less like paper bag, you know. Keep thinking, oh, that's plenty, and then it's gone. side, I'm just gonna barely, I'm not that worried about it. I just don't want it to look like an entirely different color is all. So I'm just gonna kind of do a quick run over. Really not much left there. Alright. Help a little bit, hopefully. And then we're going to let it dry and I'll be back again. Okay, I'm back. So this is kind of what I came up with. I ended up adding just a little bit more, like a few drops here and there, just to get that color to show up more. So I think what I'm going to do instead of, I was going to stamp leaves directly onto this, but because it's now, you know, that kind of wrinkly, bumpy texture, I'm thinking it might be better to stamp them on tea bags and then decoupage the tea bags on there. See, this is all a evolving process because I've not done a cover just like this before, so I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use, this is just a piece, obviously I've been cutting out of deli paper, and I have some mica powders here that I'm going to try stamping with. So I have Wineberry Red, which is this one, and Moss Green over here. I have yellow, yellow gold right there, and copper, and then we have chocolate. So those are the colors we're going to use in the mica, and I have no idea how this is going to work, but I'm pretty sure it'll work fine because the mica is so fine. So I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. And then I'm going to use matte gel to do this because it's a little thicker, a little bit more like maybe paint, kind of like an acrylic paint maybe type consistency is what I'm thinking. Okay, set that in the lid. And I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work, but we're going to find out together. Darren thinks I'm crazy. He's laughing at me. So this is the wineberry color. Oh, will you put some water in here? I forgot to do that. Too many steps happening. Thank you, son. Okay, so we're gonna see how this works. Yeah, I just need a little for my brush so I can clean it out in between colors. So I've got our tea bag, and we're just gonna take our mica powder and the gel medium. The only thing with the gel mediums is they dry pretty fast, so you gotta kind of get a little more mica powder in there. And I'm hoping these aren't going to be too dark. They may be, and I might have to go to something else, but we'll see how it goes here. I mean, like on white paper they would work great, or cream colored paper probably it would work, but I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to see what it turns out like. And then when it's dry, it's going to be different than it is now. I've still got a little tea stuck on these. Okay. We're just going to place it down. And I'm not that worried about placement on here because I probably am going to tear a little bit around the edges, like sort of fussy tear them out and then decoupage them onto the cover. That's the plan anyway. Make sure I get that whole imprint well. Ooh, yeah, see, that's kind of cool. So it does come out on there. I don't know how well you guys can see. And then as it dries, I think it'll probably be more shiny. So we'll do a few of the same color and then we'll, you know, switch colors out. And I'm gonna have to clean my stamps really well with that glue on there. I just thought it'd be fun to have some sparkly leaves on the cover. maybe the matte medium instead of the matte gel would be better as far as drying time. Like it might be a little wetter longer, but we'll see here. Okay. Probably help if I didn't have that. And I use the Liquitex matte gel. That's just what I found and got. I don't think it matters. I think they're all pretty good, especially for the, you know, these type of applications. And you could probably use Mod Podge too. Okay, so there's another one. And I'm kind of doing, you know, the maple leaves are usually sort of that red color. And then, you know, other leaves are other colors. Obviously. You guys can see. And this is going to turn into a sticky mess. And these are Tim Holtz stamps. So go ahead and clean those edges just a little, because I did get some mark off from those onto, but I don't think that it's that big of a deal. As long as you can see the leaf, that's really kind of the important part. And I hope those show up on that cover. But it can be subtle too. It doesn't have to be screaming, you know, especially for like fall and that. Alright, so maybe we will switch colors and put this on this wet wipe just to keep that moist enough so I can hopefully get it off of there. And I'll try to get this brush cleaned out. So I'll have to keep stopping the video. Look at my leaves. I'll do the gold color next. And do I think I've got too many colors for the number of leaves I have, but we'll figure something out here. Try to use a little bit less. A yellow type leaf. I'm pretty sure these gold ones will show up fine, but I don't know about the other ones. I have that green color too, so we could really do most any of them in that sort of green, since that's usually what a lot of leaves start as. It's just my clock. I think the gold's gonna probably show up really well. Okay. And these are just emptied tea bags. That's all those are. Used them, took the tea leaves out, and let them dry. Well, you can let them dry first and then take the tea leaves out. Doesn't matter. Actually, the red one came out better. I guess it just depends on how much of the glitter or the mica powder you use. So more mica powder looks better. I just want to make sure it sticks, because that's the big issue, is the sticking. once it dries. There's definitely a trick to it as far as like these ones, now that they're drying, are showing up a lot better. This one's a lot lighter, but I don't think it's dry yet, so it's definitely a balance with the how much glue you use. Yeah, see, that one worked better because I got a little bit more of the mica powder, so you can definitely see that one better. Speaking of glue, I better put a lid on that. Let's do another yellow or gold. And of course, feel free to fast forward if you're like, okay, got it. Multi-steps here. Still some of this glue. I mean, it would be great if you could just like use water or something to make them stamp, which you could. It just probably wouldn't stay there. The mica powder, that is. And I think it helps to hold it longer. I didn't hold that first yellow leaf very long. Just sip of my tea. That kind of allows that to hold on to that better. Okay, I just set that something down in the paper that I have waiting. Okay. And then let's do, let me see what I want to do. I'm going to turn this one over on the wet wipe. I think we'll maybe do the copper. I'm not sure if that chocolate's going to show up now that I've seen how some of those look. So I might save that mica powder for something else in the chocolate color. Excuse me. Allergies are kind of going nutty with the something's blooming. I don't know what it is that's got me going, but these really shiny ones are good for doing this. I think they show up a little bit better. I mean, they're all shiny, right? They're mica powder, but some are a little more naturally glittery, like copper and gold and, you know, those type colors. And you don't want to put it too thick either, because you want to still see some of that definition from those stamps. So that makes it a little bit tedious, but I think they'll look really cool. I saw a cat here. that Pasha, he's shedding so bad he needs a haircut. Really bad. Which is not fun because he does not cooperate when he gets a haircut. I'm sure you can probably imagine most cats would not. Oh, I guess there wasn't. That one showed up pretty good. I mean, these are kind of skeletal leaves anyway, so they're not going to be super detailed. Well, I mean, they're super detailed with the veining, but you know what I'm saying. They're not filled in. It might work better just to kind of put the glue down. Let me try this. Put the glue all over it. You're probably thinking that already. And then add the mica powder so that it's on top and shows better. Get all the tips. And also once you put them down with decoupage glue, you're going to set them even better. So yeah, see, that worked better to do it that way. So put the glue down and then put down the mica. And you could probably do something very similar with like super fine glitter or even acrylic paints that have a glittery coloration would work. So just use what you've got. Okay. Alright, I'm going to continue on and do some green ones, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I'm back. I have this all nice and dry, and I have the leaves. I tore around them just so they're not, you know, squares all over the place. So we'll go ahead and try this, and I don't know, I forgot to wipe that off last time, so now I have a mess. I don't know how this is going to turn out because it may be that some of them you can't even see once they're on here, but we're going to try it. I think what I'm actually going to do is just open this maybe, or not, because you can't, or I can't anyway. Just put it all in here. And we'll see if it works. I mean, the green's going to show, I'm pretty sure, just fine, but the other colors I'm not too sure how well they're going to show up. I'm just going around that leaf to, or that tea bag to try to make sure it stays. I'm almost out of that matte medium. This one really I don't think is going to show very well because of the color of it. But it may surprise me, so we'll see. Oops. And a little wrinkling is fine, but I don't want it like folded up on itself. And you're probably going to be able to see these tea bags, so I may come back in and do some staining again with the Tim Holtz vintage photo again. I kind of put this one this way because I want them to sort of like fall leaves, right? Okay, and I'll just trim that off. Copper one. I don't know how well the copper is going to show either. But we'll find out once it's all dry. I really like the gold. I think the gold is probably going to be about the best, and that green, just because of the color of the background. Which I probably should have thought out more, but Mica Powder is definitely not going to come off once it's on here. But I think this still was a better way to do it than stamping on the actual cover, because I don't think it would have shown at all if I'd have done that. So, and let's see, this one, swing, and I can just trim that. Let's do this one upside down. And they're probably really hard to see because I can barely see them. Can you guys see them at all? Oh, yeah, you can kind of see them. A little bit. I think. I guess I'll use this one since I'll do it this way. Oh, that is gold right there, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to fit anymore. What I might do is have this one partially on, and I'll just, you know, cut it where it's not on all the way. So there's a little color there. And then that top corner probably. This one doesn't show up super bright. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry, and then, all right, so I'm back. So there it is. I don't know how well you guys can see, but it's actually not too bad. I am pleasantly surprised. I didn't think it was gonna show up, but it looks like pretty good. So what I'm gonna do is take this chocolate mica powder that I have left, and I'm just gonna scoop it up. Might be too dark, I don't know. I wouldn't have slung it all over the place. It's kind of hard. If I knew that I was going to do this, I would have just put it directly into the glue, because that's kind of a pain. And put a little more. And I'm going to go ahead and put some of the copper in as well, because I think that's a little too dark now that I see it. I keep that little spoon in this little tin that I have because I'm going to lose it otherwise. It's just too little. We're gonna put a little gold too. We're just winging it now. That lightened it up pretty good. Because I'm not getting much of the shine from the mica, and I think it's because it's just mixed with too much of that thicker glue. So I want to get a little more shine on there. So I'm going to put a layer of this on it and see, it's really thick on here and I want it thinner. Okay. This is called experimenting, so I just want it thin. I don't want it super thick. And I could just ruin the whole thing right here, but we'll see if I can. Because it's got the tea bags, I'm trying to kind of make them go away a little bit more. So hopefully this will lighten it up a little bit, or you know, a little more shine is really what I'm thinking. And some of those leaves. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because I've lost some, take a wet wipe. We're just going to kind of wipe where the leaves are. Just really lightly. I don't know if that's coming through on there or not. That leaf was hard to see in the first place, so that probably wasn't great, but we may take a, you know, another leaf and put it on there. So I'm just taking up some of it. Can't tell on the camera what you guys are seeing. Oh yeah, you can still see it. Okay. It's always hard to tell. All right, so we're gonna let that dry, and then I will show you guys how it ends up looking once it's all, you know, dry and ready to go. But I think it's gonna come out pretty good because you can see the leaves in there. All right, so I hope you have an awesome evening, and we'll chat again soon. Bye-bye now.